Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are excited for today. We're going to be able to be showing you how to leverage AI for micro content. And I know Darby has a lot of great demonstrations lined up today. And so we're ready to get started. For those of you that don't know around micro content or micro content creation, I think Darby is going to be knocking your socks off today with recognizing how you can use the power of AI to create a massive amount of content that is specific for your business and how we can then convert it and repurpose it to unlimited amounts of micro content. So we've invited you to here today to kind of look over our shoulder as we run a demonstration for a project that we're working on inside the AI author. And we're glad that you're joining us. And I would love to know where everybody is joining us from. So let's see, we've got a lot of people here coming in. Let us know where you're joining us from. Say hello in the chat, lots of familiar faces. Darby, do you want to say hello and share a little bit about what you're hoping to demonstrate today and to show them?
Yeah, guys, great to see everybody here with us live and tuning in on the recordings. Really excited about what we're going to be showcasing here today. This is going to be a fast demonstration where we're going to cover a lot of ground and create a lot of content, specifically micro content around or based off of the creative brief that we're going to generate. And so my goal with this and demonstrating to you is one, how you can run the creative brief recipe that we've created in similar fashion to many of our other recipes. But specifically, we're going to be showing you how to do this inside of ChatGPT from OpenAI and Claude from Anthropic for generating these creative briefs that give us a really crystal clear picture of what a campaign is going to be based around, what kind of content are we going to be creating for a product, offer, or service. And from that, we're then going to be showing you how to integrate it inside of a tool like Jasper for the knowledge base and the brand voice to then reference back to and create content again and again and again for a specific offer, product, or service. And so, again, as we're demonstrating this whole workflow here, keep in mind that one, you can access this creative brief and the additional recipes and trainings that we're going to show that expand on this process for getting content into distribution through a live workshop that we're going to be hosting here in a few weeks. And the recipes will be available for members of our AI Author Creative Plus community and Gen AI University. So if you are already a member of those, don't worry, you'll get access to this recipe. But for everyone here who's interested in following this process, so you could go through and implement this sort of workflow into creating micro content for yourself, I think you'll find it very valuable. So make sure you're paying attention. And this will be recorded. So don't worry if you miss something and need to go back and reference to it. We'll be sending out a recording after this. And of course, you might be watching that right now. So go ahead and drop your questions as we get into that. And Kelly, anything else that you want to kind of preface before we get started here?
Yeah, I'd love to just share really quickly, just so everyone's on the same page around the concept behind the micro content. And, obviously most of us probably recognize how much how much content we can generate with tools like ChatGPT. Darby, again, is going to show you just through the creative brief recipe how much valuable content you can create for your business. But when we're talking about what to do with that content, and I think that's one of the biggest pain points, Darby, I know that we see is people generate these massive amount of content. And then it's like, what do I do with the content? Where do I put it? Where does it live? And we just wrapped up an AI Changemaker challenge where people had tons of content, but then it's like, what is the next step? And if you've ever experienced that, I'd love to know in the chat. I think it's a common issue that we all face when we use AI. So we really wanted to lean into this idea behind micro content. And, why do we want to really take what we generate from, tools like Jasper and ChatGPT and turn it into a micro content? Why don't we just want to take the entire thing, slap it on our Facebook page and, and leave it there, right? So for everyone's knowledge, right, in information, when we're looking at micro content, we talk a lot about content overwhelm. I think we can all recognize that when we see posts on social media and things like that that are too long, we really get lost in the weeds of reading it, trying to decipher what it's saying. Personally, if I see something that I can't read or digest in like 30 seconds, I'm scrolling. I don't have time for that, right? As many of you probably don't either. And so micro content can really be used to grab attention very quickly. In a world of where we're overloaded with information, overloaded with content, we know that our attention spans are shrinking. Being concise and captivating really will become not only essential in being able to get your message out to your audience, but I think it's also going to be what sets you apart. I know that I'm appreciative of people who want to give me my time back, want to save me time. And I think micro content is going to allow all of you to quickly grab your audience's attention and be able to make that impression. It's also really valuable when it comes to enhancing social media presence. For any of you who have been wanting to gain more visibility on social media, who have been faced with that challenge of how to consistently create content on social media, we know that creating long form content is very time consuming. But really, this will be able to, align perfectly with that fast scrolling nature of social media feeds. If you can break your content down into micro pieces, which is bite-sized format, that's going to be shareable. It's going to increase your likelihood of virality. It's going to allow you to boost your brand visibility in a way that is very short and concise. So what we're going to run through today, as Darby mentioned, is a creative brief that's going to allow you to generate tons of content for your business. And then we're going to show you what to do with that content and how do you move it into these micro content pieces that's going to foster engagement with your audience, offer opportunities to spark conversations, create meaningful engagement, and ultimately really nurture your audience at where they're at in their customer journey. So I know we're excited to show you how to take this content and most importantly, what to do with it after, and some fun repurposing activities.
Cool. So I'm all set on my end, Kelly, to get this ball rolling. And again, guys, this is a demonstration of how we're going to be working real time to generate this content, and understand that, again, just like we understand that or know how generative AI operates, right? The context and the input and the data that we're providing with it is going to have like a huge impact on the quality of the outputs that we're going to be getting. And so the reason I start with the creator brief in this process, and different people have their different descriptions and ideas of what a good creator brief is. I've built this as a recipe for myself based on a lot of different things over the past few years that have kind of all jumbled themselves into this is what I'm using right now to basically like whip up and create before I go into any campaign, anything inside of Jasper, especially with how Anthropic and Claude has been working for me here. So I'm going to demonstrate the workflow, and then we have some cool like tips and tricks that we'll be showing you along the way. So pay attention and drop any kind of questions you guys have here, but keep in mind that we've only got an hour for this entire demo, and we've got a live workshop coming up, which with more information for you guys later for that. So all this will be recorded and sent out to you as well, so you can follow along and apply it for content creation yourself. And so the first thing that I'm going to do, and I'm going to be using a few different tools here. And so I'm going to try and talk through which tools and screens I'm going to be using as I'm going through this process. The first thing I'm going to be using is a tool called or Claude, right? We're all familiar with ChatGPT, but now there's a new kid on the block named Claude, or maybe new to some, as Anthropic, the company that's created Claude, came out just this past week and opened up Claude.ai for everyone, I believe, in the US and Canada right now, and it'll continue to roll out to more places around the world. But Claude is kind of another chat interface that's trained on a different model than ChatGPT is trained on from OpenAI. And I've actually had access to Claude's console for developer purposes for a month or two now, I want to say, and have been really enjoying the outputs I've been getting from Claude. I've been finding they're more concise. They're really great for the researching purposes of these creative briefs, and they allow me to maneuver inside of it and edit chats. And I just like the experience, but it doesn't mean I don't use ChatGPT. I still like using ChatGPT 4, and the new code interpreter is really great for analyzing surveys, applications, research data that you need to learn more about in your business. And so what I'm going to do here first is start with my a new chat with Claude from Anthropic, and I'm going to paste my recipe in here. Now, what I've done with this recipe is this is the recipe that you can get as part of our community and part of the workshop as well. But what this recipe is doing is essentially, like Kelly was saying, we're going to be creating micro content for the program we're doing right now in terms of micro coaching. And so we need to give AI some context. We need to give it ideally an avatar and a niche that we're in. So who are we working with, and like what's the general niche that we have that we're creating content around? What's the product or service that we're using? And then what's the context? And so in this case, we're going to be creating content and micro content for an AI human innovation micro coaching program. And the general like blurb about it, I try to keep this around like 30 to 40 words or so, but there's no hard and fast rule. But I find the more clear and focused you can get with this context, the better the outputs are going to be. But essentially, this is going to be a micro coaching program that combines an AI micro coaching model to help teams and organizations with creating and innovating faster to achieve lasting results and behavior changes in just 5 minutes a day. Again, we're really leaning into the whole micro coaching theme here, from courses to content to coaching. And so that's what I'm giving it. But everything else here from this entire recipe is all preset. And so this can be adjusted to basically any offer, product, service, or niche that I want. And once I add that context here inside of Claude, once I click send, now I'm starting the research process with Claude and coming up with my creator brief for this offer from Gen AI University. So we're starting with the top, the promise: faster, more effective coaching and training through AI and neuroscience. The problem, and we get to the problem, is most coaching programs are outdated, time-consuming, and expensive. Professionals need effective tools to create rapid mindset shifts and behavior changes. Solution: micro-coaching platform combines these models of conversational AI, personalized training, 5 minutes a day. And so as we go down here, what we're seeing is we get the promise, the problem, and solution. And then we're working with AI as well here to identify what are some of the key customer avatars, the people that we're going to be serving here. And so you see step one, customer one, executives. What are the problems? Lack of innovation, silos in politics, need for agility. What are some of the features that will back that up from our offer? Personalized micro lessons, neuroscience models, conversational AI coach, right? What are the benefits? Fostering creativity, increasing collaboration, driving change. So what I'm doing here is I'm leveraging the recipe to do a lot of this initial research for me because of how powerful AI is at being a research assistant. And now I'm analyzing it and saying, like, one, is like this on the right track? Is this like true from what I understand about who we're serving and what we're bringing to the table? And I can look at this and say, yes, it is. Kelly, since we're both in collaboration here with this program, obviously I'd want your take on this as well. Like, the real question here that anyone needs to be asking on this first generation is like, is this good content? Is this going in the direction that I want it to go? If not, that's fine. We just need to adjust our prompt. We need to adjust the context that we're providing, or just give it a run again. But Kelly, how does this look from your perspective?
I think it looks pretty spot on. And I'm glad that you took a moment to bring that point. When we talk about using AI, for anybody who maybe is new or hasn't run this kind of depth of content within AI, it's really important to stop and make sure that these tools are on the same track and that they are accurate. Because what we found is the minute they go off track, the longer they're running, then it kind of starts to derail. But looking at this, I think the three problems for each of the customer avatars are pretty spot on when it comes to the concept of Gen AI University.
Perfect. Yeah, I think so as well. And so as we're going down this creator brief, we're just kind of giving it that eye of that watchful eye, and just giving it the green light, the thumbs up, or maybe I need to edit it. And that's totally cool. I don't expect AI to just be perfect on every output. And I don't expect this to just be the single source of truth without putting some thought behind, is this content it's generating actually relevant to what we're creating? But the good news is, when you get a good content brief with context in front of the recipe like this, the content is generally pretty on point. especially for what we need to do to prime our micro content creation, which is what we're doing right now. And so we can see inside of this recipe, it's come up with a few different like USP examples. Again, like this is all something that you're going to want to like vet through, read. Executives struggle with lack of innovation and politics. In this recipe, it's laying out some of the problems ahead of that we're creating here. And again, this is all data I'm wanting to generate because I want to be creating micro content around the problems and positioning us as solutions to those problems. And so we get down here, we see, we get some elevator pitches that we can reference back to in just 5 minutes a day. Our AI micro coaching drives sustainable growth and change by closing skill gaps, reasons to support. And this might not all be true. We might not offer a 7-day trial again. So I'm like, we actually don't offer a 7-day trial. So I would remove that from the information that I'm going to want to provide my knowledge base because it's not true. And I don't want that to be infecting the content that I am creating here. And so keeping things factual, and obviously like if this was true, annual membership bonus coaching guides, like we're in the process of rolling this program out right now. And so this is also giving me some ideas and maybe ways that we could add on more value to the program. Again, it's just a byproduct of running through the brief like this. Then what we see down here is campaign ideas, right? So we like 5 minutes innovation challenges. We could do a neuroscience webinar, coach of the week spotlight. Some of these things we're already in the process of working on, so that's good. And then again, if we want, we need like any help on the branding and style guide, like this is not necessary every time you're running a creator brief, but this is good stuff to have on hand if you're ever handing anything over to a designer or someone that's going to be creating the graphics for you. You're going to want them to have your brand fonts, your style guides, color schemes, all of that sort of stuff. And now we get here with part 3, the actual micro content. So because we've generated that first part of the creator brief, we've identified some of the top avatars, the promise, the solution, the sales arguments for our problems, some of the unique selling proposition. And now what we've got here are some ideas that we could start to build off for quotes for micro content. So you see quotes here, image captions, video scripts, headlines, and just like that, in just a matter of really seconds, but we've been kind of talking through this section for a few minutes, is I've generated a pretty robust creator brief that I could start now to use as my baseline for creating a lot more micro content. So before we move on to the next step, what I want to do is I wanted to demonstrate that whole process with Anthropic. I now want to transition to ChatGPT and run the same thing so you can see how, when and where you might get better outputs for one, also how others there. But Kelly, am I missing anything? I haven't checked the Q&A, and so I haven't been seeing if any questions are coming up that we want to address before moving forward.
Well, everybody is chomping at the bit for this document and the recipe. So that's a lot of the questions that are coming in. And I just wanted to share for anybody putting questions in the chat, if you can put them into the actual Q&A, we'll be able to move through those questions and be able to see them in a more timely manner. But yeah, the biggest questions are around where can we find this in the community if we are already in the community. We didn't share the link to the document, so you did not miss anything. And Darby, to your point, what I see when I run this recipe is I actually like to put it in all of the different platforms because as many of you have already noticed, you've probably already seen that what they generate is a little bit different. So, what I think you're going to be able to see and what you'll probably see here is that when we combine all of them, we're really able to build that comprehensive piece of input. And even what you'll find, I think, is we're going to start to see that there's different perspectives. What Claude might be putting out as pain points or offers, ChatGPT might have something completely different for us. And so I think there's so much value and wealth to jump in between and to move and to use multiple generative AI platforms just for that reason.
Yeah. And I think on top of that, when you're looking through the content here, like part of, at least from my approach with generating content with AI, is like so much of it is like picking out the right keywords, the right like things that because you're generating a recipe like this, like where to look, what content you're looking to pull, and when a piece of content is going to be going off the rails, or if you need to go deeper down a specific element. But the reason, again, we start with the creative brief is because we need to give AI some sort of parameters with this content. And if we're leaving everything up to chance, if we give AI a really broad, bland, generic creative brief, then I don't care what platform you're on, your content's going to come out more broad, general, and generic. And so the reason we focus in, and now with AI, we're able to focus in a lot faster on, different avatars, different offers, different markets. It's accelerating our ability to research the market, to create and innovate and think of new ways that we can put these ideas that we're generating with AI together to create unique content, ideas, and campaigns that get our products and offers out there into the market. So I'm going to jump in now, Kelly, to the next demonstration here with what does this recipe look like in ChatGPT? Because like if we're here and we're doing the work, it's literally a matter of copying and pasting and moving things over. And so I'm going to take that same recipe that I ran here inside of Claude, and I'm going to go over to ChatGPT. In ChatGPT, I select GPT-4, and that's pretty much it. Since I've already put out my content brief, since I've already built out the other front, notice how, if you see any differences, any similarities in how ChatGPT is outputting some of this content, I've noticed that with Claude, it tends to be a little bit more concise. Chat seems to be a little bit more like elongated in some of its outputs, maybe a little more fluff in some instances. Claude tends to be a little bit more concise, which I do like. But I still get great outputs from something like ChatGPT as well. And so we can see here, we're running that same recipe. And the same thing with these recipes, just like anything with AI, like sometimes some days AI is feeling like better with a command or a prompt than others. Sometimes it takes me a few different runs of the same recipe to get it on a really good kick to follow the pattern of what we set up in the recipe. And so as I'm generating all this content, I've now ran this recipe or some variation of this recipe in our stack hundreds of times since opening this up over the past few weeks with the community. And anytime, and this is another key difference that we just see right here, is like I've noticed that Claude's outputs are starting to like produce a lot longer results based on this recipe compared to ChatGPT. And that's not always necessarily a good thing, because sometimes you want a lot more shorter results and shorter outputs from the AI command. And that's where I really like using Jasper in my writing with like the Chrome extension inside of my Google Docs, or just the boss mode documents interface with Jasper, because there it lets me focus on every specific command if I want to rerun these. But all of these recipes and all of the prompts in the recipes were a combination of ChatGPT to test, Anthropic and Claude to test, and Jasper's enhanced prompt with different variations of these commands. And so, again, there's a lot of different things going into creating a recipe like this that works. And so a challenge to you as you're watching this type of output is like, is there a workflow that you're spending time on every single day? Maybe it's not micro content. Maybe it's something else that you're doing to produce content for your business. But is there something daily that has consistent, repeatable type of outputs that you need to create that you could create a recipe around? If so, I would just challenge you to like start exploring what does it look like to test and play around with AI to make your own recipes, and explore that, because it could be a huge time saver, and not just for yourself, also for your team. And so one last example before we move on to the next stage of this is we've seen Anthropic, we've seen ChatGPT. And again, like obviously I'm not going through and reading line by line every one of these right now, but I'm noticing as it's generating the content that this is like good stuff and it's on track. And so I'm good with where it's heading here, especially for that first round of generation. This is an area where I can't use Jasper the way that I can use ChatGPT or Claude. And here's how. So if I go over here to Jasper and I'm in Jasper's chat interface now, here's an immediate issue I run into. Or let me do that. I just copied that brief. if I take that exact same recipe, Jasper has limitations. And this is one of them. It only allows right now, as of the time we're recording this training, 6,000 characters to look back. And so I've got 1,800 characters too many. Sure, I could whittle that down and make it something here, but I tend not to do these longer runs in one shot inside of Jasper. And that's part of the reason why. But now that I have the content generated, and we'll use Claude as an example. Now that I've got my creator brief generated, now that I've got, let me share this with you, Kelly, too, so that you've got the Claude output.
Yep.
Now that I've got my creator brief examples here, what's the next step? What do I do with this, right? How do we start taking this and turning it into additional content and maybe more things beyond just what was generated with this brief? This is where I like to transition into Jasper or use the prompts like that I'm generating with Jasper's enhanced prompt feature or my own prompts and recipes to expand on it. But I like being able to save this content now inside of Jasper so I can reference it back again and again. And so now that we have ran and generated our creator briefs, I am going to save this creator brief. You could save this in a Google document. You could save this in any sort of like document, like wherever you save your documents is totally cool. I am using a tool called Living Writer for saving documents and things of that nature. But just for the sake of demonstration here, if I wanted to just create a new Google document and upload this into Jasper to save it in my knowledge bank, you could type docs dot new. I'll say like Gen, label it. Let's see, Gen AI micro coaching brief. Call this one number 3. So now that I've got my content now added inside of a Google document, I'm just going to simply export it. You could download a PDF or a docx. And from there, I jump into Jasper. I go to Jasper brand voice on the left-hand side of the navigation bar. I select knowledge base. The blue button that says plus add knowledge, I click that. And this is where now we're starting to train our AI. In this case, I'm using Jasper. I know there's dozens of other tools that you can create your own copy, like your own knowledge bases in now. I use Jasper. Feel free to use all of your other ones. But the key here is like whatever you're using is that you're now feeding it information that's factual or that's researched that you're going to want to refer back to again and again and again. If you have company data, like Jasper is secure, your privacy is top priority. And so it's not like you're feeding this stuff in and it's just getting used to train on other models and other models. So again, like that's some concern that comes up when you're using something like even Anthropic or even like chat. So I wouldn't put anything proprietary into like ChatGPT, for example. At least that's what I've been hearing people recommend against as well. Especially if it's like really secret company information, that sort of stuff. But since we're generating this content for our buyers research, I just want to get that document. I want to upload it. And then I just want to tag it very simply. And I do that so I can reference it inside of my chat and inside of my campaigns. And so I uploaded this as Gen AI micro content brief number 3. I've already got a tag created for creator brief. If you want to make a new tag, Gen AI U, let's say we make a new tag, I would just tab and now that tag is there. I can always upload and tag. And this is going to help you a lot with your organization inside of Jasper for specific knowledge, especially amongst your team. But now I'm going to take that, the next step in naming it. And so I'm going to say Gen AIU micro coaching, micro content brief. I'm going to add this to knowledge base. And now we're letting Jasper take that in and start to train itself on our content that we just uploaded. So now Jasper is learning the content that we upload and saving that inside of its knowledge base. So now if I ever want to come back and refer to this specific brief, I'm going to have it here on hand. And I'm also going to have it saved in a Google Doc. And I would recommend everyone have your content and files saved in a place like Google Doc, Google Drive folders. It's probably the easiest way to do it. But it's always good to have a backup for this type of content anyways, because as you start to use any of these other platforms and such, you'll be able to go and reference back to a number of those different creator briefs. Now, while Jasper's finishing up this optimization, the next step that I'm not going to go into right now is the brand voice section, because I've already got my brand voice filled up. And so I'm not going to ask Jasper to create a new brand voice, but I have my default voice set to AI Author Creator Plus, which it went and scanned our website and came up with basically the voice that we've trained AI or Jasper specifically on, like, how do we want our content to be coming across and sounding at that day. So I guess it's not going to take like much more time. So it's actually probably a good thing. I'll take that back. I'll show you how easy it is to get your Jasper to start scanning a URL and working through your brand voice. It's just a matter of typing in your URL or pasting it in there. And Jasper's going to go scan and analyze that site, whether it's your website or maybe there's like a website that you want to reference for your own tone of voice. One example of that would be if you are a real estate agent and say you work for a brokerage like Sotheby's, and you want to keep Sotheby's brand voice and how they're portrayed and what the content's like on their website in your own marketing. You could have Jasper scan Sotheby's website and then analyze the tone of voice, and then you can modify it with your own rewrites. And so here it's went and scanned our website and says, hey, energetic, persuasive, enthusiastic, using bold statements, rhetorical questions, exclamation marks, power words, short sentences, and repetition to captivate readers to inspire towards AI technology growth and success potential. I think that's a pretty good statement for how our brand voice is. If it is, that's great. If not, you could tell Jasper what to rewrite. It'll rewrite it. I'm going to say AI Author Creator Plus V2. If you want to make it your default, that's great. I can create this voice. And now that I've created this voice, I've just uploaded my knowledge. I can now start creating more and more micro content with this. Now that's now inside of Jasper. Jasper knows exactly the document that I added. It's got my brand voice. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to type creator brief and selecting that drop down. And here we see creative brief. Under the creative brief section, I've got my micro coaching creative briefs. And I think that was the one that we uploaded. Maybe I'm tripping if that was the other one. I think that was it. Micro coaching creative brief 1, apply to chat. And now we were testing this out before. And so I think there was like one other creator brief in here, guys. But now that we've got said content uploaded, now we can do and create whatever we want, really. But again, bringing back to the focus of what we're working on for this demonstration is like micro content. We want micro content. We want easy to consume. And how do we do that? Well, now it's time to prompt the AI to help us with coming up with some of this content. Of course, I could ask it like to come up with specifics on the micro content side, but I've already got an AI command that I've developed with Kelly before this call that is going to work great for me here. And I created this command by asking Kelly, like, hey, what are the types of micro content that we'd want to create anyways? And she said, well, we want to do like 10 thought-provoking quotes, image captions. And I gave it to Jasper's enhanced prompt. I enhanced it, and this is what we have. And so now I'm giving Jasper a really structured prompt to start focusing in on specifically this. All right. So one prompt, albeit an enhanced prompt that, we put our heads together to come up with and let Jasper help us refine it, is now taking, and the thing I really want people to walk away from this with is like, now that like our content's uploaded in a knowledge base, I don't have to prime Jasper every single time with a brand new, like fully robust process of going through your creator brief and doing all of these different things that you might need to like recreate to get it to pull the right content. Now that's already in my knowledge base. And so you can see it's pulling content from what we've uploaded here in our knowledge base for reference. And now it's referencing this command to effectively create that content. And the sky's the limit here, right? I mean, Kelly, like at this stage in the game, we can either decide that we want to make more content and we want to just like create just an insane amount of content to just never stop. But if it never gets out there to see the light of day, then like, what's the point, right? And so like now the question is like, okay, from here, what's your strategy in getting this out so that it actually is doing stuff for our business versus that's great. I just generated a tons of this content. Like now what? And I want to pose that question to you, Kelly.
Yeah. So again, like when we think about AI and Kevin shared how much he loved this workflow. Part of the problem, right? Part of the bottleneck is that if we even get to this point, right? So if we create our content and if we get to the point of where we're using our content and actually creating micro content and content for social media, then there's another place to get lost in the weeds, which is making the graphics for it. And I don't know how many of you are like me, but I literally go down the rabbit hole when it comes to taking my quotes, taking my tips, and then having to create like a captivating and a compelling graphic with it. And I can spend probably hours on Canva just creating one image, which I'm sure many of you have run into. So with the help of AI, and now that Canva has an AI generator as well, there's a really easy way to take this content that Darby just demonstrated and put it actually into Canva and have Canva batch the content for you so that you don't spend all of the time having to create the content and the graphics and so forth. So I'm going to show you just the possibility of using tools like Canva in collaboration with this as part of your workflow. What I did first is, so I took Darby's quotes, right? So he had the tools generate quotes from the creative brief, and I put the quotes inside an Excel spreadsheet. So you're going to want to move all of your content that the tool's generating for social media, and you're going to want to move it into a spreadsheet. Then with that spreadsheet, what I've done is I've gone into my Canva account and I've uploaded that spreadsheet into Canva. And I already had some pre-made templates here that are part of my brand colors and things like that. They're all blank, right? But they're all in alignment with what you might see on my social media and things like that. And I've attached the quotes, the data from the quotes into the actual Canva images through a feature that they have called bulk create. And so what's going to happen now is I've got my quotes uploaded into Canva. I have each photo connected to my quotes sheet. And if I hit continue, you can see here it's generated 7 quotes. This is the data it's going to apply into my graphic. I'm going to click generate. And now what it's done is it's pulled the quotes into 3 different options into my Canva templates. So again, these templates were already pre-set up. These are things that
those are the same quotes, each one, Kelly?
This is the quotes. Each one is pulling into that different template. Oh, wait a second. Oh, here we go. And so it's giving me, and then here's like the second quote.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Right. So what it's giving us is it's giving us a bunch of the quotes on various templates, which I think is key. I don't know how many of you notice this. This is a pet peeve of mine. when I go to someone's, Facebook, and I see that they've used the exact same image, the exact same quote on Instagram and all of the things, which we all know as entrepreneurs, that's the easiest way to generate content. But this really allows me, like, I could put these on, I could put one on Twitter, one on LinkedIn, right? One on Instagram, one on Facebook. And even though I'm using the same quote, they're looking different, right? And it would take me, I don't know, why do people do that? Because it would take me 5 hours to make 5 different templates for one quote. But with the batch creation, here's the next set of quotes. With the batch creation, all I have to do is just change the text to make sure everything looks good and it's good to go. And so I can use this on a bunch of different forms or different platforms. And you can just see it's created 30, 40.
And Elizabeth made
50.
a good point. I think Elizabeth made a cool point here on like using Adobe to create the images and then Canva maybe being a little too stock, which is, I can totally see that, right? And it's stock, but you can do a lot of the image creation. You can use Adobe, you can use Midjourney, you can use Jasper, you can use a bunch of different tools to come in and create the templates and then leverage that once you have the templates created for what you're seeing here.
Yeah, 100%. And again, it's all about your brand, right? So for me, when I post quotes in my brand, this is like a Canva style template with a quote on it is very much in alignment with my brand. It's what people are used to seeing. So, you obviously you have to find the image generator that works best for you. But there are really easy ways to take all of that content and now put it into the graphics without having to spend a large amount of time on actually creating the graphic itself. Because that's what I was finding, right? I was finding like, wow, I created content in 5 minutes, but I'm still spending 5 hours trying to create the graphics to go along with the content. Yeah, Batch Creator is a total game changer, especially for those of you that are like trying to step up your game. A lot of you might be at that place where you're like, I just want to generate content. I just want to get my Instagram page. I know a lot of you are in that place where you're like, yeah, I do Instagram. It just takes me so long to create graphics. And this is a quick and easy way to take the content that you create from this creative brief and just batch it into other platforms so that you have the graphics that you need that are ready to go so that you can, really up level your presence on social media with the micro content.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty full demonstration of how you can take something from an idea and like a 30-something word brief that we create a creative brief out of. To just recap kind of what we've covered here today, guys, we took an initial recipe that I've created. It's available for our community members and those that buy into this workshop that's happening August 1st and 2nd, as well as those that capture get the replays of that workshop. That recipe kicked off us running it in Claude, us running it in ChatGPT. Couldn't quite run the recipe in Jasper, but that's okay. But you got to see kind of like, okay, how does Claude output here? How does ChatGPT output here? Well, once we get our outputs generated for a creative brief, we can then take that brief, build our knowledge base inside of our example being Jasper, build a knowledge base, get your brand voice on lock, and then open up Jasper Chat, tap into that knowledge that you just uploaded, and tap into that brand voice to start creating listicles, quotes, expanding on the content that you fed it with that creative brief. And one other cool trick that you can use now that you've got that, because like now that's one part of this workflow, which now if you want to go about creating boatloads more content, we can do that in a matter of just a few clicks. And so going back into Jasper as we kind of wrap things up here in this workshop, like what would I now do and be able to do next? Well, I want to create new content. And so I'm going to go ahead and click create new content. And if I'm going to create a new campaign around this, I'll say new campaign, micro coaching, micro content campaign. I want to use that that brand voice that I've uploaded. Let me see. Actually, that was the V2 one, was the latest. And now I can select a document. I can upload that document. It's all, again, like why you want to save this content in your own like Google Drive or something specifically. But now I've uploaded this document of that creative brief. I can go now to selecting content, and now I can just start selecting a lot of starter content. And again, like keep in mind, these are all being driven by prompts that Jasper's team has worked together and engineered. And so instead of you going in and coming up and using every single prompt individually yourself for these, you're tapping into some of Jasper's best performing prompts and templates to just have one click generate all of these different assets in your campaign that, again, this is all like step one. This is getting that first draft done on point and on par with where we want to be heading with any given campaign, right? And so what do we need? Oh, we need TikTok scripts, Facebook ads, SMS messages. We need blog ideas. I need a LinkedIn post about this. Of course, now we know how we can go into Jasper Chat and just ask it to write us listicles, but now we can also like tap into a number of different templates with all of the context that we're providing here and creating. And so like tweet ideas, I think, is a really good micro content example here, that now, because I've uploaded my creative brief and Jasper's going to be referencing that for this content, like now I can on command just come into this campaign. No time for a coaching session. Think again. Our AI coach will give you fresh perspective in just 5 minutes. Or our AI powered coaches will give you that. Like, okay, cool. That could be a good quote that I go and use and post today. Like, boom, one click, it's done. And again, like what we're going to continue to see, or at least my prediction with this type of use case in Jasper, is like, as we get more robust in the templates that are being created, and as Jasper grows with like inserting the dynamic template, which I know is something on the roadmap. I asked the team about it last week. We're going to be able to use more and more of these templates to, again, just like getting the ball rolling on numbers of different content that are all pulling and referencing back from this creative brief. And then again, then the question is like, what's your strategy about getting it out there? Are you posting on Instagram a few times a week? Are you tweeting about this? Is LinkedIn your main priority? Like, well, like all of those questions should be informing like your content brief in the first place. And then, once you've established the channels that you want to be pushing your content out to, then just focus on making more content for that and then batching it effectively so that you can get it out there into circulation and, actually be using that content to get more eyeballs and more awareness for your brand and business. And yes, guys, we will be able to share, we will be sharing this recording as well. And Kelly, if you want to give people an idea, I'll go ahead and grab the link real quick for people that want to join, but what we got coming up over the next few weeks.
Yeah, so I know a lot of you are asking about the links and being able to run this recipe. So we've put together a workshop in a couple weeks on August 1st and August 2nd. It's going to be a pretty intensive workshop, but the opportunity in that workshop is that all of you will be able to run your own creative brief along with us and our assistants on that workshop. And I'll be showing you how to then not only create your micro content from the creative brief, but using that batch content hack inside Canva so that you leave that workshop with your creative brief with tons of micro content and with the knowledge of how to take that content and batch your graphics into tools like Canva. So we know, and I know every time I see something new on AI, obviously my mind is blown. I'm like, how do I do it? And then I give it a try. It doesn't come out the way I want to. I kind of get lost in the weeds. And then I'm like, I forget now what. So we really wanted to save you the time of having to figure out how to run it all on your own and just create this container for you to be able to come on board with us, have us in your back pocket, brainstorm with us on running your creative brief and doing it all in this workshop. So the workshop is August 1st and August 2nd. I believe, Darby, if I'm not mistaken, each session is 90 minutes.
I think we've got 2 hours blocked, but yeah, okay. It should be like 90 minutes and then like some time for additional questions and overflow.
Okay. Yeah. It's going to give you tons of support for everybody, again, who is like, recognizes the value in this, wants the help in uploading it into your Jasper brand voice, wants the help in being able to tweak if necessary and ask questions. And so, yeah, we're excited. I love a good workshop. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, I know you've been on our workshops too. And so Darby just dropped the link to join that workshop. And for those of you that are part of the AI Author Creator Plus community, you guys are going to have a special discount since you're already members in the community. Darby will be sharing that inside Circle, which is which he'll be posting.
I'll be posting that here this afternoon, guys. And I just posted a link for those that aren't active members of our Creator Plus or Gen AI University. And if you are already a paying member, then just wait a few hours and you'll see that inside of the community. And if you have questions, just email us and we'll get you a link to it. But otherwise, it's a flat $100, pretty straightforward, not breaking the bank, but for sure going to be over delivering in the value of what it is. And I'm actually just right now, I'm updating the link. So when you go and purchase the link, you're going to get access to that document that we had today for the recipe so that you could immediately start to run it and go through this exact workflow with what you saw here today. So yeah, it'll just be a simple Google Doc, guys. And yeah, same thing for members of the community. So just keep an eye out for that once you guys go and do purchase the link.
Yeah, I feel like it's a no-brainer for all of you that are on. You can see, what the creative brief can do. I know a lot of you are working with new avatars. You're playing around with some shifts in your business, and it's a great opportunity to run the creative brief for these new, these new modifications that you're making, these new avatars that you might have, and being able to really quickly generate that micro content so that you can increase your visibility on social media so that you can continue to produce content in a really, really quick and easy way. And so you can even, generate those images so that you are basically powering up all of your social media, all of your content creation with the AI tools. So I'm excited to see a lot of you. It looks like a lot of you have already signed up. It's going to be jam-packed, I know, as it always is. And I definitely think it's helpful to run the creative brief beforehand so that when you come to the call, we can really help you with tweaking it and troubleshooting it and making sure that you've gotten it right. So it's super helpful for those of you that are signing up now to start running that creative brief so that you're familiar with the content, because I know Darby is amazing on the spot. So if you were to come on call and say, well, I'd love to have this be a part of it, we'll really be able to support you with that and making sure that the creative brief is exactly what you need for your business. August 1st and 2nd, it is 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So 1 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Central, and 4 p.m. Eastern. And of course, everybody will have access to the replays of the workshop.
Yeah, and I think you've got an app that a couple apps, if I'm not mistaken, Kelly. If you want to give people a little taste of what they can expect on that front.
I did. Darby let my secret out of the bag, but I've been creating some apps specifically to work with the creator brief. So one of the things that the creator brief does is it gives you your unique selling proposition. And I've created some apps so that you can take your unique selling proposition that you have in the creative brief and really build it out using AI in terms of, what that would look like, different marketing points and things like that. So yeah, and I probably will create more by the time August 1st runs around. So, we really want to give you as many tools as possible to dive into the creative brief content and be able to use it in different places in your business.
Yeah. And on that same note, I do see the question, if the creator brief is the creator brief included in the workshop? Do you get access if we're not part of the Creator Plus community? Yes. So you guys do unlock access to that creator brief with this workshop, as well as the additional apps and bonuses as part of this specific workshop we're doing. If you're part of the Creator Plus community, you'll have access to some of this stuff as well. And if you want to join us live, you'll have a discounted rate because you're a member as well. And there will be a replay for this, which the way that we're going with our content is to just level up the searchability and utility of what we're creating here, because we realize, I'm not going to get into tons of detail with this right now, but we've got some really cool updates in terms of being able to use AI chatbots that are searching our content for all of our workshops, all of the programs that we're creating, so that once you go through and we do a live workshop, it's 2, 3, 4 hours of content or whatever, it's being broken down into notes, into outlines, timestamps, transcripts, and searchable. So you guys are going to be able to, and we'll have a version of this for this workshop where you'll be able to say, oh, Kelly said something about like Canva and Adobe combination that like, I need to go and like see what did Kelly say about that? Well, before you'd say, okay, cool, I got to go watch this workshop. I got to go search through the transcript, and it might take you a few minutes. It might take you longer than it's going to take you to actually like watch and consume the content. What we're moving towards is a way that you can search our content, find it, watch it, and then go and immediately put it into action, because it's going to include resources and additional things like that to it. So like that's happening right now, and we're going to continue to build as we do with the community. And so people that buy into this workshop are going to get a taste of what, again, is going to be, the whole enchilada if you're part of our membership. But it's going to be very searchable, very actionable, and extremely relevant to your business and content creation right now. And if you're working with clients who could benefit from what you're going to be learning in this, even more value on there. Yeah, right, Bobby, exactly. Bill, Searchy is the tool there. I wasn't trying to like hide the name of it. Searchy.io, Stu McLaren, his tool he's been building for some time now, and their AI chatbot Wisdom allows you to search the content that you're uploading on Searchy, which, by the way, is no small task. It's going to take some time for us to search, upload, tag, provide all the resources there. And so this is something that is a big project on our plates that we're doing to make the community better, and our content is a better experience as a whole. And yeah, I just hope you guys get more out of the content we're creating and putting it into action. So hope you guys had a lot of, got some insights, got some value out of this workshop just by seeing the workflow, what's possible. Again, go ahead and check that link that we dropped here in the chat. I'll drop it one more time. If you're not a community member already, go ahead and get your access to the workshop. It's only $100, gets you in live, also gets you all of the recordings, or it's somewhere around this video, wherever you're watching it at. But otherwise, that's August 1st and 2nd, 2 to 3:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on those dates. And we're excited to come and just bring you guys tons of even more value and helping you guys get your content created and out into onto your social medias and otherwise. So until next time, guys, we'll send out this replay, and hope to see you inside the workshop and inside the community. Keep calm and AI on. Yep. Cheers.